Right now at 5, a witness at the center of a triple homicide case takes the stand to testify in court.
You're watching WKBT La Crosse. This is News 8 Now at 5.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for News 8 Now at 5. I'm Ken Kozarowski. It is day 3 of the trial for a man charged in connection to a 2021 triple homicide. News 8 Now's Dua Israr was at the courthouse where a key witness testified she was at the Romskog Quarry on County High M where the shooting took place. Dua?
Ken, Bridget Schlicht testified 45-year-old Kamthanath Rattanasak handed the gun to 35-year-old Naya Tao. Schlicht told jurors that Tao shot 24-year-olds Peng Lor and Nemo Yang and 23-year-old Trevor Maloney. Tao, along with Rattanasak, are accused of shooting and killing 3 men over a $600 debt. This morning, Schlicht testified she had been hired at the Holiday Inn in Onalaska and went with the 3 victims to drop off her birth certificate. All 3 victims were waiting in the car. When she returned from the inn, Rattanasak was outside holding a gun to her head. He told her to get in the car with the victims and drive to the quarry. Schlicht testified at the quarry. Rattanasak and Tao told the victims to get on their knees. Schlicht says Rattanasak handed the gun to Tao, who shot the 3 men. She also testified she was afraid, but went to the police because it was the right thing to do.
And why do you think you would be charged?
Because I was there and I was still alive.
During the cross-examination, Tao's defense argued Schlicht deleted evidence from her phone that tied her to Rattanasak. The defense argued Schlicht had sex with Rattanasak and was scared of him, but she wasn't scared of Tao. They also introduced a phone call recording of Schlicht stating Tao would never kill her. Schlicht admitted on stand that she originally told police she wasn't at the quarry during the shooting because she wanted to limit her involvement in the crime. One of the defense's major arguments against Schlicht was that she was using meth during the time of the crime and had the drug on her from one of the victims. Michael Vang, a witness who offered to pay Rattanasak and Tao the $600 debt on behalf of the victims, also testified. Vang stated Rattanasak sent Vang a text message saying he didn't want the money. Rattanasak wanted the victim's life. Ken?
Quite a lot of information. Thank you so much, Dua. Tao faces a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment if he's convicted of first-degree intentional homicide. Rattanasak is expected to testify against Tao later this week. At least 1 person is dead following a small plane crash in Watertown, Wisconsin. Emergency crews responded to a plane crash that reportedly went down in the vicinity of Brandquirk Park, which is near Watertown High School and about 4 miles from the city's airport. Officials said that the plane was leaving the Watertown airport when it went down around 9 this morning. The crash caused some fires in the area, which first responders were able to put out quickly. The entire park has been closed off as officers complete a thorough investigation.
Well, it sure was a much warmer day here today as those temperatures were into those mid to upper 80s this afternoon, and we're expecting similar conditions as we head into the day tomorrow. But first, let's take a look at tonight, though. We're going to be dropping into the 50s, 61 in Berry Mills, also in La Crosse and Onalaska, 56 tonight in West Salem, 54 in Mindoro. As we head south into Viroqua, 58 here for you, La Crescent at 61, Lansing at 60, Waukon at 59 degrees. Meanwhile, to our central zone, Sparta, you'll be at 51 and cool there for you in Black River Falls at 50. 54 tonight in Whitehall, and as we head north into the Chippewa Valley tonight, lows mainly into those low to mid 50s with 55 tonight expected in Eau Claire. Now, there is a slight chance of a shower possible early this evening, and then really throughout the rest of tonight, we're looking at those clouds clearing out. However, haze is going to be moving in, and that's all thanks to the Canadian wildfire smoke to the north that is going to be influencing that. I'll talk more about that, plus much more, coming up in the full weather forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Derek. Big news for Wisconsinites looking to buy electric vehicles. The state's GOP-controlled Legislative Finance Committee has voted to raise EV registration fees from $100 a year to $175. Since it's already more expensive to register fully electric vehicles in Wisconsin than it is registering a gas or hybrid vehicle, Democrats are afraid that this decision will discourage Wisconsinites from purchasing EVs. State Republicans have not commented on if they would cut the university system's funding after delaying the vote for the measure, leaving the University of Wisconsin's budget up in the air. The budget cuts were expected to reduce funding for diversity offices and initiatives for UW. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said Tuesday that the potential cuts were going to cut $32 million from the school's budget. Governor Evers and other state Democrats have criticized the proposed cuts. Today is World Blood Donor Day, and it's just in time as La Crosse area hospitals say they're running low on blood supply. Versity Blood Center, which supplies hospitals like Gunderson, is hosting blood drives both today and tomorrow to try and stock up. Today's drive ran until 2. Versity officials say donors are essential right now.
We are in an emergency appeal for blood where we are less than a day and a half of, less than a day's supply of blood currently. So we are hosting a blood drive to make sure we have a stable and ready blood supply for our community hospitals.
And the blood drive continues tomorrow. Donors can go to Gunderson's Clinic in Onalaska from 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. And it's not just local blood centers looking to stock up on supply. Centers nationwide are working to recruit a new generation of donors. In the last decade, donors under age 30 have dropped by nearly a third. A new high-tech experience might change that, though, as Bradley Blackburn explains.
Every year for his birthday, Partid Patel takes time to give to others by donating blood.
It's a small thing that I can do for someone else.
The 25-year-old has been giving for years.
Let me see both of your arms.
But he's never made a donation quite like this.
I'm seeing an orb and it's talking to me right now.
The New York Blood Center is the first in the country letting donors don high-tech mixed reality glasses to transport them to a virtual Zen garden they control with their eyes while their arms stay still.
It's a garden that I'm looking at.
Is it relaxing?
Yep, it is relaxing.
Healthcare company Abbott designed the experience to help calm first-time donors and hopefully bring in young people. Nationwide, since the pandemic, high school and college-age donors are down by half.
So we're hoping they're going to come back. And hopefully when they start hearing about the mixed reality, they're going to want to come in and try it.
I tried it myself.
So I can see through the goggles, but then I can see the video at the same time.
One key feature, while you're exploring virtually, your eyes remain visible.
Oh, there's one.
That's vital so staff can monitor you during donations.
And they're able to even just flip it up quickly if they need to connect with the donor at that moment.
Patel says he'd use the mixed reality glasses again, but the best part of donation is still the snack and juice afterwards.
This one's not virtual.
And the knowledge his gift really will help save lives. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Several blood banks have purchased those headsets and are rolling them out to donors this summer. Abbott says in addition to New York, centers in Chicago, Houston, and Columbus, Ohio will be among the first to get to use them. Today marks the 70th anniversary celebrating Franciscan Healthcare Auxiliary. The La Crosse Country Club hosted a luncheon today to honor the milestone. Throughout the years, Franciscan has awarded more than 300 nursing scholarships to students at Viterbo and Western Technical, as well as funding for capital projects and assisting patients with their medical bills. Auxiliary officials say they are proud to support those who need it.
We have supported all the healthcare facilities, all the programs. We've helped program funding for some of the departments, and we've done a lot of community-based.
The Franciscan Healthcare Auxiliary is also helping provide several volunteers to support events such as blood drives and vaccination clinics. Today is Flag Day. The day is set aside to honor the American flag itself on its adoption day when it was officially named the country's flag by the Second Continental Congress all the way back in 1777. It had the same 13 red and white stripes to represent the 13 colonies. Today's flag, of course, has been the same since 1960 when a full 50 stars were added. In honor of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day tomorrow, the Aging and Disability Resource Center of La Crosse County is hosting an Elder Abuse Awareness Walk. That walk going to take place at Riverside Park at 10 a.m. If you plan on participating, organizers encourage you to wear purple to show your support against elder abuse. Registration is not required, but it is encouraged. For more information, we will have a link on news8000.com. Just ahead tonight at 5, the major decision from the Federal Reserve that could affect people looking to buy a home or car. We'll have the details next. Interest rates have been on the rise over the past year as a way to try and fight inflation. But now policymakers are changing their tactics, as Natalie Brand explains from Washington.
With the price of consumer goods easing, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says it's time to hit the pause button on interest rate hikes.
Today, we decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
The Fed boosted a key rate 10 times over the past 15 months with the goal of slowing record high inflation. A report on Tuesday showed a significant drop to just 4% in May, closer to the Fed's target of 2%.
The Federal Reserve is pausing rates because it has seen great progress in inflation, and it doesn't want to keep raising rates, potentially tipping the economy into a slowdown that morphs into a recession.
The decision is good news for Americans looking for a loan, as borrowing money has become more expensive. Credit card interest rates are at a record 20.4%. A used car loan is now at 11% compared to 8% a year ago. And mortgage rates are up significantly. Those high rates are not only deterring potential home buyers, but also keeping some home owners from selling.
They're so comfortable with that 3% or even less interest rate that they're locked in at for 30 years. They're a bit nervous about bumping up into something higher and what that payment's going to look like.
However, the Fed's pause might be short-lived. Powell is not ruling out a future hike.
Nearly all committee participants view it as likely that some further rate increases will be appropriate this year to bring inflation down to 2% over time.
The Fed will make its next decision on rates in July. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
Many Fed policymakers project that more interest rate hikes will be needed this year, but that rates could start coming back down next year. Still ahead, your kids may be spending their summer days playing games or watching TikToks to pass time, of course. But when is too much screen time enough? We will have the explanation in just a few.
And we could see a return of the haze as we head into tonight and also into the day tomorrow, unfortunately. I'll have the details and I'll explain why coming up and much more in my full weather forecast after the break. Well, it sure was a much warmer day today as high temperatures were into the mid to upper 80s across the Coulee region in general. But for tonight, our temperatures will drop into the 50s and low 60s tonight if you're in La Crosse County. Meanwhile, as we move our way down to the south, our lows tonight reach around 58 in Viroqua, 60 in Stoddard, however, 60 as well in Brownsville, and 61 in La Crescent. Further east up towards Hillsborough and Lafarge, 55 and 56 degrees there. Meanwhile, across our central zone tonight, it's a low to mid 50s with 52 in Melrose, 51 in Sparta. 57, however, slightly warmer in Trempealeau, and a low tonight of 55 degrees if you're in Arcadia. Meanwhile, across our northern zones in the Chippewa Valley we go. We're looking at lows tonight into the low to mid 50s with 55 in Eau Claire. So overall, the forecast tonight in La Crosse County calls for 61, partly cloudy, and also turning hazy as well. I'll explain that here coming up in a bit. North winds at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. The haze looks like it will continue as we head into the day tomorrow. A high of 88 degrees, which was pretty similar to what we had today. Partly cloudy, north-northeast winds at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. All right, let's get a check on your zone forecast tomorrow overall. Looking at the 80s here, especially further south, we could be looking at highs in the upper 80s in southern La Crosse County. We're looking at highs tomorrow across our southern zones into the upper 70s to low 80s. Same here for you in the central zones with a high of 79 in Melrose, 80 tomorrow in Arcadia, and we should be reaching the mid to upper 70s across the Chippewa Valley with 78 and a few passing clouds expected if you're in Eau Claire. So by tomorrow morning, the front should be positioned just off to the south of us here, and we will be looking at a mostly clear start as we head into tomorrow morning. This front's really not going to move a whole lot either, and by the way, it's not really going to drop our temperatures down too much. The front's pretty weak, but it is positioned, however, to the south tomorrow. High pressure to the north over Canada will be building across the area, and that's going to help give way to another mostly sunny-like day across the area tomorrow, and also into tomorrow evening. Things will continue to remain pretty quiet, and the same could be said here too as we head into tomorrow night. Now, that's nice, right? But the only problem is that the northerly winds behind that cold front is going to be bringing in a bunch of smoke and a bunch of haze tonight and also into the day tomorrow. Things could still look very hazy out there, giving way to a pretty milky sky. You'll probably notice that for tomorrow. Now, as we head into tomorrow night, we will still be dealing with a little bit of haze, but not much. You can see it begins to dissipate here as the wind direction begins to change direction. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast, and you'll see that we will be looking at those highs into the mid to upper 80s over these next several days under a mix of clouds and sunshine. But look at those high temperatures as we head into next week, especially between Tuesday and through at least Thursday. We're looking at those highs jumping up into the low 90s. So it definitely will be hot out there, feeling a lot like summer. In fact, the first official day of summer is next Wednesday, so just in time there. Low temperatures in the 50s and low 60s. Back to you.
Quite a hot one indeed. Thanks, Derek. Well, it is a challenge year-round, but especially over the summer. Kids may spend a lot of time watching screens to occupy themselves. While devices and other screens may have a place in a child's life, health experts say too much can lead to problems. Mandy Gaither has more on how to help your kids find a healthy balance this summer.
From gaming consoles to TVs, smartphones and tablets, children and teens spend a lot of time watching screens.
Most children, school-age children, are spending in excess of 7 hours a day on screens.
Wendy Palmer with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Strong for Life says recommended screen times vary based on a child's age, but for those old enough to go to school, less than 2 hours a day is the recommendation.
Screen time, when it is excessive, can impact sleep, it can impact physical activity, and most recently, the clearest evidence is really looking at the impact of excessive screen time on youth mental health.
To limit summer screen time, Palmer says to keep some school year routines in place. Set screen-free zones, especially in bedrooms or on short car rides. Use that time to talk to each other instead. Make a commitment to having no devices at dinner. That goes for parents too. And she says it's okay for your kids to be bored.
Boredom is a necessary component to kids really learning and adapting and figuring out how else can they entertain themselves.
Palmer says to encourage kids to be active and to play in person with others, whether that's outdoors or inside.
Drawing, thinking about writing, thinking about reading, really encouraging some of those behaviors that our kids may now associate with, well, I go to school and I do those things. Those are certainly opportunities at home.
And when it comes to screen time for younger kids, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends children under 18 months should avoid screen time except video chatting, and children 2 to 5 should be limited to about 1 hour per day. When we come back, the latest kicks from the fast food restaurant who isn't new to releasing some funky merchandise. We'll be taking an up-close look after the break.
Expect more from News 8 Now. Thanks for watching.
Well, the hottest in summer footwear is here, and it's brought to you by Crocs and Taco Bell. Yes, the brands have joined forces to bring the first ever Mellow Slides. The shoes sport Taco Bell's iconic logo. The Taco Bell Crocs will go on sale June 28th exclusively on Crocs.com for about $60. Now, this isn't the fast food giant's first step into the retail space. Back in 2019, Taco Bell opened up a hotel gift shop in its pop-up Palm Springs hotel, and they sold swimwear, sunglasses, and life-size sauce packet pool floats. Crazy stuff. Meanwhile, NASA's Curiosity rover sent back a stunning postcard of what the Mars surface looks like at different times of day. The picture is actually a combination of black and white panoramas captured in the morning and the afternoon. A team added color later. The blue light signifies morning and the yellow indicates the afternoon. Curiosity has been exploring the Gale crater since it arrived on Mars all the way back in 2012. We will have one more check of tonight's forecast right after this.
Here's a last check on your 8-day forecast. Tomorrow looking hazy with a high of 88 degrees. Mostly sunny for Friday, 84. 86 on Saturday with a high of 88 on Sunday for Father's Day. And as we head into next week, highs into the upper 80s and low 90s.
Quite the heat wave. Thank you, Derek. And thank you so much for joining us tonight at 5. We hope to see you again at 6.